All right, you guys, so we're going to go into a little bit more detail about finding the vertex by completing the square. So I've already given you some notes, but I want to explain it very clearly and carefully. So let's look at the homework that I have assigned for this. And let's start with the first section. I'll do number 1, which is basically asking you to complete the square. So we're going to say y equals x squared plus 4x plus c. And they're asking you what c is. They're asking you to solve for c. So don't make that confusing. They're just asking you to complete the square. So all we're going to do, remember, is we're going to locate our a, b, c. So we're looking for a, b, c. So our a, remember, is 1. Our b is 4. And we don't know what our c is. Okay, that's the first thing you always do. And so very simply, we're going to take our b value, which is 4. And remember, the formula is you take whatever b is, you divide it by 2, and then you square it. Okay, so here we have 4 divided by 2, which is 2 squared equals 4. So your c is going to equal 4. So we're going to just rewrite that. We're going to say x squared plus 4x plus 4. That's all they asked you to do. And so c equals 4. That's your answer right there. All right, so that's the first part. That's all you're doing for the first section. Now, I'm going to go down to number 6, which is the next section where they're asking you to find the vertex, and then they're asking you to find the minimum or the maximum for the vertex. So let's go over that for a second. Remember, so I'm going to write down number 6. So y equals x squared minus 8x minus 4. Okay, so remember the trick that I've told you in a previous video, that when you have an a value, so here our a is 1, correct? When your a is positive, okay, that means your parabola is going to go up. So your vertex is going to be at the bottom. So the vertex here is going to be a minimum. Okay, so automatically you know here that you're finding the minimum. But if your a was negative, okay, then your vertex is at the top, and so that's a maximum. All right, so that's a maximum. So before you even start, you can know automatically that if this is going to be if a is a positive number, and then this one is going to be when a is a negative number. So that will help you to remember that. I would write that in your notes, okay? So here we know we're talking about a positive a, so we know it's a minimum. And so we're going to find the vertex. So remember that if you look, and we're going to first rewrite our equation. So here we have x squared minus 8x minus 4. And remember in the previous video, I told you that you're going to group your x values. So your x squared and your x. So we're going to group. So we're going to put a parenthesis around this value right here, around these terms right here. And we're going to have to complete the square right here. So we're going to take whatever is in front of our x, which is technically our b value, which is negative 8. So we're going to take our negative 8 and we're going to divide it by 2. And then whatever that is, we're going to square it. So here, let's simplify that. Negative 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then if we square that, it's 16. So we completed the square. So go ahead and rewrite your parentheses. So now you're going to have x squared minus 8x plus 16. And then you're going to have that all inside the parenthesis now. You just expanded this to complete the square. Now outside here, you're going to put negative 4. But remember, because you added 16 here, you have to subtract 16 over here. Let me just kind of come to the side for a second and explain that. Would you agree that 5 equals 5? I'm just giving another explanation of why we have to add and subtract, okay? So just an example, if you have 5 equals 5, would you agree that 5 plus 2 minus 2 also equals 5? Because here we had 2 and then we subtracted it and it still equals 5. So in order to keep our equation balanced, or in order to subtract what we added, we have to get rid of it. So here we added 16, so we have to remember to subtract 16. That is very important, that whatever you added into your C value, you're going to have to subtract it outside the parenthesis. Okay. So now let's go back to our problem over here. This was just a little explanation, but let's go back over here. So now we have this, and now we need to get it into this form. We need to get here equals a square. We want to get something squared, and then we're going to go ahead and look out here, simplify out here. We have a -4 minus 16 becomes -20, correct? Okay, so let's go back into here. Now we need to simplify this. So we want to get it into, we want to get our x value here. So x squared is what we're looking for. And in order to get this term that we're going to put here, we need to take our b value, which was -8, and we're going to divide it by 2. And so we know that that equals -4. We're not going to square it this time. Okay, so if I should have gone up here, this would have been -4 squared, which was 16. So this was -4. Okay, so this is x minus 4 squared minus 20. Well, that is really helpful because now we have it in our vertex form. So if you remember from our previous video, our vertex form that we always want to get our problems into, because it makes it very easy to locate the vertex, we always want to get it into y equals a, okay, x minus h squared plus k. So remember, that is the formula that we need to use. This is our vertex formula. All right, vertex formula. We want, and if you look at this problem, when we go back here, this is now in the formula that we want. So we